everybody, this is Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. A good question was brought up by a subscriber. I forget if it was, I think it was an email. They emailed me about what to do about housing people at your bug out location. How do you proceed with that? He was talking, they were talking about Pastor Joe, Viking Preparedness, and Shofar Mountain. How members would be encouraged to build their own little cabin or little building, place to live on the mountain somewhere, on their property. And then, meet the mandatory 1 year food for the group and stuff like that. And then if they leave the group, I forget what his rules were. It doesn't matter. That's not what the topic is. But if you like my videos, please subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, hit the little bell notification thing. Please do the things to support the channel. I love you guys. I need your support. And I cherish your support if you're giving it already. Structures. Okay. They were asking, okay, the more structures you build on your property, it's going to raise your property taxes. Yes, it will. Even if they are not within the, certain square footage to be a livable dwelling. Even if you keep them under that, it's still improvements. It's still area that you are improving on your property. And wow, that guy pulled out right in front of me. I had to go around him in the passing lane. Sorry, everybody. Yes, it will increase your property taxes. So, with that said, they were asking, well, how do I get around that? What do you do? And depending on your situation, how rural you are, what your laws are in your area also, stuff like that. Think about those, learn those. What applies to you may not apply to me. My idea is to get all the supplies ready and standing by to build the structures that will be needed. And so what I do is, my idea is to get the materials to build, quote, so many structures myself on my property. Okay, it doesn't really matter how many. That's all our deal. But have the supplies, the lumber, the insulation, the nails, the screws, all the stuff you're going to need which requires some research and some knowledge or experience or all of it to know what you need to set aside to build a structure. Like a little stove for it also. Stove piping, windows, all these things set aside, ready to build. Then there's a lot of different options. You can do this. If you're in a financial situation where like maybe the bug out location is your property, and you're in a financial situation where you're able to buy a bunch of these supplies to make, say, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever of these buildings, then great. And if you can make that a priority, and if you're able to do that yourself, great. Set aside a bunch of supplies. But another way to approach it is you can also encourage your members of your MAG, the people that will be showing up there, to buy the supplies. Maybe give them a list if they need help with that, to appropriate the supplies, then bring them to the bug out location, then they can store them there. Obviously, you would have to have a structure to store this stuff, or something, depending on your environment, what kind of structure you're going to need to store all this kind of stuff, and how big it has to be based on how many people you're going to have, etc. But yeah, so there's different ways to go about it. And that's all on you. This is just me, planting the seed, giving you the knowledge, giving you some ideas, getting your thought process going about this topic. You can approach it different ways, like I just said. Either them buy it, store it at that location, you buy it, store it for them, with the understanding that you're providing them a shelter, and then whenever they show up, they can be in charge of building it. Or what I suggest is basically just have one big massive working party, like an Amish barn raising, and everybody works together. A bunch of people to start in one structure. If you get enough people to start 2 structures simultaneously, then great, do it. But basically get those buildings up as soon as possible after an event. When you decide, okay, this is the time when we're all going to meet, we've met our parameters, we've bugged out, Now we are no longer, this is no longer a bug out location because this is our residence. This is where we live. So at that point, then raise the structures. That way, everybody has shelter, and then you can go about with all the other requirements and all the other things you're going to need to do to establish that as your own little community, basically. Hopefully you've set forth community laws, bylaws, SOPs, whatever you want to call them, for your intentional community, whatever you want to call it, so that you will have, it'll be a seamless move in, basically. Build the structures, everybody goes to it, everybody knows their roles. Roles have already been established. You've all met there before, you've gone to there, you've done the things, you know where the security points are going to be set, you know where the checkpoints are going to be, you know where the perimeters are going to be raised, if they're not raised already, like say barbed wire, cyclone barbed wire, less than lethal options, maybe some other stuff, you get what I'm saying? And you got to figure out whether it's a SHTF or a WROL situation. WROL, well then, you're without rule of law. So you have to do everything you can to protect you and yours and your group. So more extreme measures may be taken. I'm not suggesting you do, but you may feel it necessary to do so. So do what you feel is necessary. Employ what options you have and that you can do within your code and your ideas. So, let me see, off topic a little bit. Yeah, so you want to be able to have people show up there and basically set up stuff, have everything ready to go, and everybody starting their roles, because you're going to have to start as much as you can do ahead of time, the better. If you already have raised beds or ground plowed, stuff like that for producing your own calories, chicken houses in place, or the materials to build them, so that when people show up with chickens or rabbits or whatever it is you guys are going to eat, goats, sheep, beef, turkeys, all the things, whatever animals you show up with, you either have the structures and the places for them to live already on site, or the materials to build them on site. If you're worried about that increasing your property values, which I don't know all the laws, whatever. Think about all these things. Think about what kind of plans you need to be talking to with your group about how to set this up, and the direction you want to take with the whole idea of structure and how to house people. If maybe you don't have a big group, maybe it's just you and one other family, or some couple friends, maybe you only have a couple people, but you foresee other people showing up. Maybe you have other people they're not necessarily in your mag, but you would still accept them if they showed up. And you may want to think about things like a longhouse, which would be like your meeting house, or a central location where all the meals are cooked, prepared, community meals so you can eat together, so you can fellowship, stuff like that. It may serve a dual purpose as your chapel also, so you can hold services there. That you may have that as your multi-purpose hall, where all of your meetings are, your city councils, your town council, whatever you want to call it, is held. All the different kinds of meetings. You get together, and the people get together and build quilting parties and do the things, whatever it may be. Planning, setting out garden, all the stuff. Setting up security patrols. Maybe that's your central location where your watch office would be also. So all your patrols, all your security points would have communications with that main point. That may be an option. You may want to think about that, like a grand hall, a Viking hall, whatever you want to call it. You may want to have a bunch of little smaller structures. You may want to have like a security house, like a guard house or something. I don't know. This is just throwing some ideas out. You figure out what applies to you and where your group needs to go to meet your needs. Your needs are not necessarily my needs and my group's needs. So I hope this encourages you guys to do the things, to set aside, to think about this, because shelter is one of the most important things. And you guys may have a raw bug out area where it may just be raw land. I would suggest before SHTF at least clearing some of it, clearing places for structures to go. And then having the, if it's treed, I'm thinking in terms of forest also. Sorry if I talk about clearing land and that doesn't apply to you because you're in the desert. I can only approach things from my point of view. My point of view would be it's all heavily wooded here. So you'd have to go through and cut some of the trees down, clear the areas, stack that wood properly so it can cure over time, so then you can use that stuff to build log cabins. Or you may have like Alaskan sawmills where you can hook up your chainsaw and make some lumber to build structures, stuff like that. Or have wood, you bring in also to supplement it. Steel paneling for steel roofs, whatever you need. Also clear areas, remove stumps and stuff for gardening areas. You can do all that kind of land prep beforehand when these are easy times, so do as much of this stuff as you can while it's still easy. You can do all that kind of stuff without increasing your property value, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a land developer. But think about these things. If you don't have a bug allocation, I seriously suggest working on one. And if you have an idea in mind, but maybe you don't own it, maybe it's in a national forest or something like that, then still have the materials ready to build all the structures you need. That's, at least you have that. Even if you have that at least, then you're able to go in there. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more work because you got to clear land, stuff like that. But at least you have the materials ready to build some shelters. A lot of, if you're clearing heavy trees and stuff like that, you're going to have a lot of that wood you're going to be able to use to build other structures, and or animal pens, housing for animals, stuff like that. So anyway, I hope this encouraged you guys. I hope this gives you some good ideas. Just throwing some stuff out there. I was on a roll with some topics today, so when I'm on a roll, I just want to go with it. I love you guys. I hope you guys subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, ring the bell notification thingy. I really appreciate your guys' support and everything you do for the channel. Have a wonderful day and blessings to you and yours.